How can the freelancer economy improve? This is a question that I think about often because not only do I do freelance work, but of course many of my friends are freelancers. And if you're an artist, that's kind of, in many ways, the name of the game. And especially nowadays, there's been the platform revolution, right? Everything's a platform. And when we look at the freelance side of things, whether it's Fiverr or Upwork, those are two of the biggest job platforms that exist out there for connecting freelancers with clients. And while we are not in control of these platforms outright, I have been thinking about, well, what is a solution to make it more fair for freelancers out there? And part of that is pushing these platforms to perhaps enact this change, or perhaps this is an idea that someone can take and run with and create a new platform where all of a sudden this is where the freelancers go, right? So there's multiple paths to this. But what is that singular solution to make it all equitable? Well, when we look at it now, there's the notion that a client posts a job, right? So whatever it is, they need a logo made, let's say. Okay, cool. So then they post it and all these freelancers bid on that job, right? Whether it's for like a fixed price or an hourly rate, depending on the preference of the client, right? But let's say it's a fixed price, right? So, let's say one person says, I can do it for $300. Then the next person puts in a bid for $300 as well. Then another person puts in a bid for $200, and then another person for $200, and then a third person, this would be the fifth person for $100, and the sixth person for $100, right? So, most times, clients, yes, they want a certain level of quality and stuff like that, but they're also, let's be honest, looking for the cheapest offer, right? And so in that scenario, they might pick someone from the $200 range, but more than likely they'll pick, one of the $100 quotes. And this is how it works. However, what if we switched it up where all of a sudden, whatever the estimates were, it averages it out. So in this scenario, I gave 6 numbers, 300 all the way down to 100. And the math is pretty easy, ends up being the average about $200, right? So let's say, so the idea would be you have any number of freelancers bid on a project and it would average out. Again, in this example, it's just 6 just to make it easy. And that number ends up being 200. So that way, no matter who gets the job, that is what they will get. And now the client has to really select based on, quality and merit and so forth, right? And so they can pick who they want. And now, okay, that's the price for that job. And this prevents, higher quality of work for clients. So they're more satisfied. But it also allows for freelancers to not be underbid for projects and just create this like nosedive into the bottom tier where now all of a sudden I've even seen it on like Upwork. People are asking to have a 90-minute piece of content edited with B-roll, subtitles, graphics for $30, which is insane. Right? Like, how can you expect that? That's so much more work than that. So, that the idea is, again, just to change up the model. If we're going to be reliant on these job platform sites like Upwork and Fiverr, I think they should shift it around. Or, as I said, maybe someone can create that next big platform. But this is just an idea that, for me, has been in the back of my mind of how we can make this more fair for everybody involved and start to really, nurture that freelancer economy so that way, it can be more sustainable for all. But curious to hear your thoughts. Are there other ways that perhaps you've been thinking about that this can be more sustainable and whatnot? I'm very curious to hear all of your ideas. So comment down below. Would love to hear from you. And thank you as always. I truly do appreciate it. And I'll see you next time.